and welcome to the research on that. Thank you. How about it, ladies and gentlemen? Now tonight, we have a very special guest with us. Please put your hands together for the one, the only, Mr. Solomon Ash.
Thank you. It really is such an honor to be here. Alright, stop clapping. You know, you're only doing it because your neighbor is.
Okay. Well, welcome, Mr. Ash. I'm glad you could make it tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Now, for those of you who don't know Mr. Solomon, he is a world-renowned psychologist. His most known experiment is known as the Ash experiment, which studied the concept of conformity. But before we get into that, I'll let you tell everyone a little bit about yourself. What is your story, Mr. Solomon?
Thank you. Well, I was born September 14th, 1907 in Warsaw, Poland. I did move to America eventually when I was 13. Yes, thank you. I lived in Manhattan with my family. I went on to get my bachelor's degree, master's, and then my PhD. And then I served as a professor at Brooklyn's College of Psychology in the psychology department. And I also was a professor at Swarthmore College. From 1966 to 1972, I held the title of Director and Distinguished Professor of Psychology at the Institute for Cognitive Studies at Rutgers University.
Wow, how about it, folks? What a beginning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now that we know all the boring stuff, let's get into the experiments.
Certainly, anything.
So, what was it you studied?
Well, I'm very into the social and Gestalt psychology. I recognize the huge impact that social influence can have on people. I suppose I'll talk about my most known experiment, named after me, of course, the Ash experiment. With this experiment, I attempted to demonstrate how easily people are pressured into things by the pressures of others around them and the pressures of authority, such as your teachers and your boss at work. The experiment itself was very simple. I questioned a group of 7 people, 6 of them under disguise. I let them know the background information. The questions were simple, but 6 people answered the obviously wrong answer. Then, when I showed the 7th person the picture, they also said it was the wrong answer. They gave this answer even though they knew it was wrong. I also worked with Milgram during his obedience research.
Very interesting. And yes, I do remember when I worked with Milgram here a year ago. What an interesting experiment from him. Don't worry, folks. He didn't actually shock people, but some of the participants in the study actually continued to shock their partners when it was lethal. They did lethal shocks to their partners. Just because some guy in a white lab coat told them to do so. How interesting.
Yes. You would be surprised what people do from peer pressure.
Very interesting, Mr. Solomon. Thank you for joining us.
You are welcome.
And after this commercial break, we will come back with a different psychologist. Thank you. America. Wasn't that amazing? I just love the interviews with the smart, intellectual psychologists, and we are about to do another one. This time we are going to welcome a different kind of psychologist. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Abraham Maslow.
Thank you. This is so amazing. It is so nice to see you all.
It is nice to see you, Mr. Maslow.
It's Maslow.
Mr. Maslow. So, first, let's just tell us a little bit about yourself, Abraham.
Well, I was born April 1st, 1908 in New York. My parents really forced upon me the importance of education. So basically all I did was study, I became very lonely. I married my first cousin. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I moved to Wisconsin to go to the University of Wisconsin, where Bertha and I had 2 daughters.
So where did you go from there?
Well, I received my PhD, of course, in psychology in 1934 from the University of Wisconsin. And I have clearly been successful ever since, wouldn't you say?
So what have you been up to?
Well, I came up with Maslow's pyramid, otherwise known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Duh.
How about it, folks? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Looks like a pyramid.
Yes, and go on.
Oh, yes. What was I talking about? Oh, the pyramid, right. It has 5 levels. 5 of them. The first level is biological and physiological needs, kind of like your water and your food and your air and your shelter, that kind of thing. The second level is safety needs. This is your security and your laws. So people that don't follow the laws aren't following my pyramid. After this, people start focusing on belonging and being loved, so they focus on their relationship with friends and family and work groups. Once this is stable, we start working on our esteem needs. This is achievement, what your status is in society, being aware of your reputation in society, etc. The last block of the pyramid is self-actualization. Now, this is kind of for the older people. This is personal growth and fulfillment, being happy with who you are and what you have done in your life.
Wow, that's interesting, Abby.
It's Abe.
Abe. How about it, folks? Abe.
I know. I'm awesome.
You really are. And I want to thank you for sharing your time with us here at The Research on That. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm exit to Abraham Maslow. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here tonight on The Research on That. We'll see you next week when we interview Darth Vader.